So then I clicked on the X button to make it go away, but then it was a link to another ad, and when I tried to cancel that, another window came up and it was this. Dude, what the bro? What does this mean, dude, bro? What the bro?
You know, a lot of times you show a creator that you trust goodwill, and you'll kind of wade through the dark times because you know at the end of the tunnel there's some light. They're going to deliver on something. They're not going to continuously drag you through the mud of pretentious bullshit. And I don't know. This week, Jonathan Hickman's goodwill that he generated through House of X, Powers of 10, even through East of West, Black Monday Murders, Avengers, New Avengers, Fantastic Four, his big Infinity story, what is there, Secret Wars. There's a lot of good stuff by Hickman. You always got trust. There's always a sense of trust that Jonathan Hickman, while he might take a while to get there, is eventually going to deliver the goods. Within his Dawn of X, he's the head of X. He's the man of Dawn of X. He's the one that personally curates the line. He's the one that brought in the creators that are on board, that he all picked, by name. Like, these are the creators that he wanted aboard. Just in his own title, I've dealt with horticulture, one of the stupidest set of villains I've ever seen in my life. A bunch of old ladies that like to garden. Very, very menacing stuff. I've dealt with, across the entire line, all kinds of weird polyamorous activities, lots of insinuations that Wolverine is the meat in the Cyclops and Jean sandwich, that they're having a weird three-way menage a trois, and everyone on the island is banging each other. All kind of weird stuff. All feels out of character. All very strange. I'm willing to endure it because eventually Jonathan Hickman's going to pay this off. His constant, weird, one-shot storytelling within X-Men, where anytime he does anything cool, like the second issue, when we finally meet the Summoner and he arrives, and that's a pretty cool issue. They're finally paying some of that stuff off here now, but there's been plenty of other stuff. The one that's really fresh in my mind, obviously, the best issue that he's written in all of his X-Men since the relaunch, the Children of the Vault story, where Laura and Darwin and I think it's Sync, I can't remember, the three mutants go into the vault. Very cool story. What's going to happen here? They need to save them. Been completely dropped. Haven't visited that in forever. I went and read his giant size X-Men books because I knew there was going to be a payoff. There was sort of a payoff. It was okay in the end, but for the most part, that was overpriced junk. I've read Leah Williams' X-Men comics because I trusted Jonathan Hickman and his direction for X-Men. Yeah, I read 2 X-Factor issues. Too many. I don't even know what I was thinking. I wanted to review the first one. I was like, that's it. I'm not going back. You know what? It's a Jonathan Hickman X-Men event. What he did in House of X, Powers of 10 was transcendent. I'm going to check it out. Terrible comic book. I've endured Teeny Howard Otherworld in multiple comic books because I had faith in Jonathan Hickman and what he was doing in House of X, or in Dawn of X, leading up here into Ten of Swords. Teeny Howard, one of the worst writers at Marvel. I'm not saying that she has no potential. I think she seems like a very pleasant person. Certainly not ready to be writing one of the feature stories on Dawn of X, and certainly not prepared to be one of the co-writers. Just the entire setting of Otherworld is one of the most off-putting, boring things I've ever endured as a comic book reader. I absolutely hate it. But I've been willing to endure it because I have faith in Jonathan Hickman. I've endured Jerry Duggan's absolute terrible take on Marauders. It's just the worst comedy and jokes ever. The guy is not funny. He's great on real big action pieces. You know, I like his stuff on Savage Sword of Conan. I've enjoyed his Savage Defenders. Everyone says Deadpool's great. I'll disagree on that one, but it's certainly not as bad as what we're getting here in X-Men. Although I will say his little short story in Wolverine, Black, White, and Blood wasn't terrible. It wasn't too original, but it wasn't bad at all. It was just an average story. I actually tried to stick with the weird, completely disjointed mess that was the beginning of the New Mutant story because Jonathan Hickman was on the title. And I like Ed Brisson. I've never seen two creators collaborate and be so much like oil and water together. It was awful. When I was reading the Empire event, I said, I'm not reading anything tied to Empire because the story isn't good enough. I read the X-Men tie-ins, obviously, because I had faith in Jonathan Hickman. Let's just say I've lost my faith in Jonathan Hickman, his direction for X-Men, and any possibility that Ten of Swords is actually going to be good. We've been told the same story now 4 times. I remember when Doc and I reviewed X-Men number 12, we went and reviewed it. I said, hey, feels like we're seeing this story a lot. And when we got to the end, I was like, well, it's obvious that Annihilation is actually Genesis. And I said, 90% certain that the story the Summoner just gave was actually all lies. He was full of shit. I said, I think the beginning part might have been true, but after that, they're lying to him. They're going to turn on Apocalypse and try to kill him. So what are the big 3 reveals that we've gotten in Ten of Swords so far? The Horsemen turn on Apocalypse as soon as he entered Otherworld because they're now the regents of Dryador. They took it over. Who cares? Otherworld is garbage. The next big reveal. Annihilation is Genesis. Couldn't have foreshadowed that any harder. It wasn't like everyone knew that was happening. And in X-Men number 14, he tells the same story again, but from another point of view. And we learned that, yes, the Summoner was lying, which was completely... At this point, I don't care. I don't care about Arakko. I don't care about Apocalypse's original 4 Horsemen. One of the storylines out of House of X Powers and 10 that I thought was really interesting. I was like, I can't wait to learn a story about this. He finally discovers them and saves them. At this point, I just hope they all die. Apocalypse cannot die soon enough to seal the breach and save everybody from his original Horseman, Genesis, Annihilation, and Amenth, and everything, all this crap that I've just learned about that I could care less about anymore. I don't enjoy any of this, but he went too far this time. Not only does he retell the same story, but from another perspective, he reuses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 pages of art. No changes whatsoever except for the words. These comics aren't free. You don't get a discount because they use the exact same artwork and just change the wording a little bit. This is the 3rd or 4th time he's told the exact same story, at least parts of it. But every time it's from another point of view. I could see how that could be interesting. Maybe, like I said to begin with, when we did X-Men 12, I was like, they shouldn't have dumped this in one issue. As soon as he met the Summoner, he should have been giving parts of this over the next sets of issues, and then you would have had the whole story. And then maybe you could have had Lionel Francis Yu illustrate this comic. It wouldn't actually have been a retread of everything that we've already seen, or it wouldn't be so clearly just them reusing the exact same pages of comic book that I read a few weeks ago. I've had enough. I can't take it anymore. Obviously, there will be a This Week in X-Men. It might be the last This Week in X-Men. Doc is going to come on the channel. We are going to talk about X-Men 14, Marauders 13. We're not going to talk about Wolverine black, white, and red, or blood, because I don't think we're going to have enough time. But I wonder, you guys think he's grumpy, or you think I'm grumpy here? You haven't even heard from him yet. He's even more pissed off than I am. Like, how much of this bullshit do we have to take? Telling the same, like, he didn't tell this story 6 months ago, and now he's adding layers to it. He told this a few weeks ago. The last issue, he filled in a few more blanks on the same goddamn story. I'm tired of rehashing the same story. This is complete bullshit. Using 14 pages of the same art from an issue of a comic that we just bought and then charging the same amount of money for. And in the meantime, I've been having to read fucking Excalibur, Teeny Howard's Otherworld bullshit. I've had to read Stasis, which was co-written by Teeny Howard. It feels like it was mostly written by her, which is almost all in Otherworld, all complete bullshit. I had to read an issue of fucking Leah Williams' X Factor. It's terrible. I had to read Vita Ayala's transcendent take on Storm and Marauders. Somehow, Marauders got worse when Jerry fucking Duggan left. His Marauders has been awful, and somehow Vita Ayala made it worse. That story sucked ass. There was no reason from the beginning premise and what happened on the last page. Everything in the middle was completely inconsequential and stupid. There was like 4 pages of story in there, all blown up. Which is, I already reviewed that goddamn comic. Now, did I get a couple of great issues from Ben Percy and Victor Bogdanovich? Absolutely. Yes, I did. I got a Wolverine. I got an X-Force. They're both excellent. Did I get a great finale on New Mutants from Ed Brisson that I didn't see coming? Absolutely. That was a great comic book. I really enjoyed it. But I have had to read so much average and so far below that just to tread through this. 13 chapters. Actually, it's 15 if you think about the preludes, the 2 preludes in Excalibur and X-Men that I had to read. And nothing's happened yet. Not a thing. They got their swords, which we already knew they were because the prophecy told us exactly who was going to get what swords. At the end, guess what? They all had the swords they were supposed to have. Nothing has happened. The only thing that's happened is the team from Hellions is in Otherworld somewhere. Does anyone think that they're not? So what? They're going to be hostages or something. Who cares? Ten of Swords is the most drawn-out, boring piece of shit. Is it as bad as Age of X-Men? No, but I don't expect anything out of Age of X-Men in comparison to Jonathan Hickman. Jonathan Hickman has lost his touch. He's sold his soul out to Marvel Comics and Jordan White. Does anyone believe this is the best that Jonathan Hickman has to offer? Does anyone believe this is what Jonathan Hickman had in mind when he took over X-Men? He's phoning it in, and I can't take it anymore. And this isn't the worst of it. Actually, the worst thing happened when I opened up Marauders number 13. Look at this worst shit. First page of the comic. Fucking tasting menu. Because apparently the sword bearers of Arakko and Krakoa are having a dinner. There's a moose-bouche, first course, second course, third course, fourth course, fifth course. The tasting menu. In Saturnine, eat of my bread, drink of my wine. Before you die, we dine together. Together we dine. Who gives a shit? This is as far as obvious as I made it into Marauders 13. Fuck that comic. Fuck that Ten of Swords. I can't take it anymore. Fuck. So lazy. What the hell happened to Jonathan Hickman? Is this the Jonathan Hickman you remember? Is this what you expected from a Jonathan Hickman-led fucking Marvel Comics event? This is the most drawn out, boring piece of shit story I've ever wasted my time and money on. It's not happening anymore. Fuck this. Jonathan Hickman, it's gone too far. Marvel Comics has gone too far. They always do this, X-Men. They're milking it for everything it's worth, but they're not milking it for everything it's worth. They could actually make a lot of money with X-Men. They're driving people away because they're blood-sucking vampires. They don't know how to manage the X-Men franchise. I thought Jonathan Hickman was going to bring something different, was going to change things. No. He drank the Kool-Aid. He's bought into the fucking Marvel way. He's lost his way. I don't know. Maybe you got to read Decorum to see what he really wanted to do with his X-Men run. Because what we got with, as far as the quality and House of X Powers of 10, it's gone. Have we had a glimpse of it here and there? Sure. No. I'm not wading through this much bullshit again just to get one nugget of a good fucking story that he won't revisit for another year or two every few months or so. Am I going to keep reading Ben Percy's Wolverine and X Factor? You're goddamn right I am. Am I going to read it during Ten of Swords? No. Fuck it. I'm out. Am I going to keep reading Hellions? Yeah, when Ten of Swords is over. I enjoy that comic book. Am I going to be reading Jonathan Hickman's X-Men anymore? No. Fuck it. I read fucking Lee Williams, Teenie Howard, Generic Duggan, and the worst Ed Brisson I've ever seen on X-Men in fucking Vita Ayala because I had faith in Jonathan Hickman. Never again. Never again. Not happening.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.